Hello, I can start to see people filing in now. I'll just give everybody a moment here to get settled. Okay, I'll just wait a few more moments. It looks like people are still coming in here. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for Break the Bottleneck, Integrate Quality in Manufacturing. I am your host, Sadi Muqtadir, the editor of Canadian Manufacturing. I'm really delighted to welcome our Canadian manufacturing audience to today's 60-minute session brought to you by HiQA. HiQA provides manufacturing and supply chain quality assurance software that advances, accelerates, and automates manufacturing quality processes. From ballooning bubbling drawings and creating inspection plans to collecting data and generating FAI, APQ, PPAP documents, HiQA quality management software ensures products are manufactured faster, within tolerance, and comply to standards. Before I introduce our two speakers today, I did want to quickly just go over a few housekeeping items. Firstly, this webinar is being recorded. So if for any reason you have to leave early or you miss part of the presentation, a link to the recording will be emailed to all registrants in 24 hours. Closed captioning is also available on the recording. And secondly, questions can be submitted to our speakers through the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We'll cover them in the final 5 to 10 minutes of today's session. So if you're having any technical difficulties, please also type them into the Q&A and we will try and have them resolved. Also, I did want to add that if we do not get to your question, I'm sure someone will be following up through email. So don't worry at all. And without further ado, I will introduce our two speakers. First off, we have Rob Edmonds. Rob has spent the past 15 plus years of his career in the manufacturing management software industry. Throughout his career, he has assisted thousands of companies becoming more efficient and effective in managing their businesses. At the onset of this year, Rob was introduced to HiQA. Impressed by the leadership and the opportunity to change how the industry manages quality, he jumped at the chance to join this dynamic company. Secondly, we have Jared Phillips. Jared has enjoyed a 24-year career in the manufacturing software industry. During his career, Jared has conducted thousands of on-site product demonstrations, web demonstrations, seminars, webinars, trade shows, and trade association meetings, collecting multiple sales and leadership awards along the way. Having met HiQA leadership earlier this year and understanding the larger vision they shared of QMS capabilities, Jared was excited and honored to join HiQA, a company on the cutting edge of bringing manufacturing and quality together like never before. So with that, and without further ado, I will hand it off to Rob.
Thank you, Sadi. Appreciate that introduction, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Your time's very valuable. We understand it. We're not going to waste any of it. So let's jump right in to the message and get to breaking the bottleneck and the impact it could have for your company. All right. So what is the bottleneck? Biggest question. Let me catch up with some slides here. The bottleneck and why we're talking about, quite frankly, the blame game that occurs because of the bottleneck. By definition, the bottleneck is the slowest part of the process to which all parts need to run through. Therefore, it's the limiting factor for a company. And if you can fix it, you can get more parts out the door and on to the next job. Oftentimes, in a lot of companies, quality or the quality process is blamed for being the bottleneck. But is it? Quality is typically a generic term that's frequently overused. What I mean by that is oftentimes the documentation requirements from your customer that quality is responsible for, that's the real bottleneck. So let's address the blame game. And the easiest way to do this is, let's just go through an example and we'll see if you can relate. let's say in this example, we were talking about a tier 1 or tier 2 supplier, but quite frankly, any company, right? It'll compare to. As much as we say, quote unquote, we are in a digital age, a two-dimensional print is still predominantly how our customer gets their requirements communicated. Typically, when a job is awarded to a supplier, a print will come into the system along with an order for a specified quantity of parts. The print then splits paths, right? One copy goes to quality, the other copy goes to manufacturing. When it hits quality, oftentimes it's assigned to a quality engineer where they will take the print, balloon the drawing, identify the characteristics, put it into a final inspection plan, and then begin preparing all the APQP documentation based around those balloon numbers and certain processes as identified by the manufacturing team. The information is then passed to the QC department. Sometimes it's the same people, where a final inspection measurement plan is created and the final measurements are taken, often on a CMM. So while all this is going on, the other copy is going over to manufacturing, right? Manufacturing will take the print, start identifying the operations needed to make the part, right? So for example, we've got what? Roughing op 10, finishing op 20, drilling op 30, so on. At this stage, they're usually also identifying what dimensions would need to be measured in process in order to make sure, the part's correct for that next process and for final inspection. This can take a lot of different forms. We have, some customers, for say, they've told us they write dimensions directly on the print. Others may create specific prints for each process, and yet others may just rely on the machinist to know what to measure on that feature to produce the good part. Now, that process is outlined, set up, parts are produced and measured during the process. But then what happens? Well, in our not so made up scenario, the first time quality and manufacturing actually come together isn't until the part has already been measured on the CMM long after the parts are made and measured in process. This sometimes produces the heated moment, right? Let's hope it's not fisticuffs. But hey, that's when we're going to have that blame game come into play. But we find the biggest issue our customers have is really collaboration between the two departments, or the lack thereof. What if we could take this scenario and maybe rewrite the process? Let's start with that very same print. Same process needs to be done, right? Only now, as it works its way through the company, the digital thread stays intact because everyone from manufacturing and quality are working on the same exact information. The ballooning identifies all the engineering characteristics. Manufacturing identifies all the operations and in-process checks. Data is acquired both from the shop floor and the quality lab. All the inspection results compiled into a final inspection report, and a complete submission package is created. This translates to increased transparency and drastically improved lead times. Here's another quick scenario. Let's say we make this part, and let's say these 3 holes are threaded and finished at op 30. The machinist is going to use a calibrated thread gauge to check the holes after they're finished in op 30, right? Most companies will recheck the thread at final inspection. Why? Why not use the data from the machinist on the shop floor who inspected it the first time? Now, some companies decide to treat the final inspection as a double check and make sure the thread is good. Yeah, that's fine. We get it, no problem there. But for other companies, the process of measuring something in final inspection that's already been measured on the shop floor is time wasted and increase the time the part is in final inspection. How do we do that? How do we break the bottleneck to get the parts out the door faster without compromising quality? The answer is simple, yet commonly overlooked. The process needs to be automated. When people think about automating a process, visions of robots and auto-load CNCs are usually high on the list. And why shouldn't they be? Right? By some estimations, it increases throughput by 4 times. But why has so much automation gone into manufacturing without addressing the true bottleneck, the quality documentation process? At HiQA, we help streamline and automate your quality process. This is usually done in 3 phases: the planning phase, production phase, and the reporting and submission phase. For the rest of this webinar, we are going to primarily focus on the production phase. And let me add this as a side note. When we get into the software in just a minute, we will be gathering a lot of data and then compiling it into a first article report. We won't be getting into APQP documentation automation, but we do invite anyone that's interested in a demonstration focused on automating APQP, please reach out following the webinar and we will for sure get a demo scheduled for you. Today, we are going to show you how easy it can be to acquire the data from the shop floor, merge it with the data taken from a CMM or any other automated measuring device. Then the information will be automatically used to generate an FAI. But we can never get very far in our presentation without talking about one of our key advantages: the database. All the information you are about to see is securely stored in a database on your server, on your network, and it's available real time across departments. This is not a cloud-based solution, so you won't have to worry about data security. So let's jump into the software and have Jared show you how easy shop floor data collection can be. Jared, it's all yours.
Hey everybody, appreciate that, Rob. Jared Phillips here with HiQA. Really want to thank the folks with Canadian Manufacturing Magazine for this opportunity to speak with you all today. Our goal is to make this the best hour of your day. All right, you're really going to like what we have to see here, what we can show you today. So let me go ahead and share my screen for you guys, and we're going to hop right into the software and get to the good stuff. Okay, now you all should be seeing, and I don't want you to see my mug anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and stop that video. But let's get right into the HiQA system here for you guys. All right, so let's all start right here at the beginning and hit this drop down with the new button, and we're going to go ahead and bring in from a drawing. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and grab this one right here. I've got different samples out here, but we're going to use this PDF. And by the way, it could be a PDF, could be a TIFF, could be a JPEG, could be whatever sort of 2D file that you happen to have. And you'll notice right up here as well, we also have the ability to bring in your 3D models. Okay, very, very popular with our customers. All right, so let's get right to the good stuff, and that's right up here. You'll see this auto balloon button, one-click auto ballooning here, guys. So we're going to go ahead and do the current page. This happens to be just a one-page print, but you notice we handle multiple pages. You could be very, very selective. You just want to cherry pick which pages you'd like to balloon. And you have some other options here as well. If you want to do basic reference dimensions, so on and so forth. But let's get to the point here. Let's go ahead and hit the OK button and have our proprietary OCR, optical character recognition scanner, true AI capability here, guys. We are taking everything, all the GD&T, everything off of this print, all the dimensions, and we're going to digitize it. I mean, yes, we're going to auto balloon it. That's going to be very clear. But even more so, we're going to put this in a usable database format. Just as Rob said, that is a key component to our company, to our product, and what we have to offer to you is a database-driven system. Okay, so let's take a look here at what we have. So as you can see, all the dimensions have been very clearly ballooned like so. But I'd like to direct your attention down here below, and let's go ahead and maximize this here for you guys so you don't have to pull out your readers like me. Let's go ahead and bring up the bill of characteristics. This is what we're referring to. Everything has been digitized into this nice table. It looks kind of like Excel. It's not. It's actually a table database. We're using Microsoft SQL, by the way. So you can see every dimension, okay, where the drawing zone, where those dimensions happen to be as far as the drawing zone. What type, the GD&T, your nominals, your tolerances, straight across the board. Everything usable from a data standpoint on that print is now here. We now have manufacturing and engineering starting with one version of the truth right here, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and minimize and get back to our main screen here, and let's have a little bit of fun. Okay. So I want to direct your attention. You'll see out here on your desktop, all of these different little buttons up here, little widgets, little tool sets for you to be able to make your life that much easier. Creature comforts, you might want to call them. Well, one of those happens to be, let's go ahead and capture the material. Okay, so we'll go ahead and activate that. And watch what I'm doing here. I'm just going to box select. And by the way, I mean, I'm not going to touch the keyboard at all here today. It's a beautiful thing. Keyboard equals possible accidental errors, fat fingering, so on and so forth. Again, if you're anything like me, you're missing keystrokes all the time. Well, with box selecting, again, we're making it very easy for input. All right, so we've got our material captured right here, and you'll notice this little pencil. Okay, well, what's that all about? Let's go ahead and give that a click. And now if we would want, we could go ahead and fill this out even a little bit further. If we'd want to hit, put in material codes, spec numbers, certification numbers, go right ahead. You can see right there, you can have a drop-down list of your suppliers. Very easy with the plus button to go ahead and add a supplier to the drop-down list. You know what? Speaking of certifications, this is great. I want to make sure I don't miss this for you guys. Right up there, that tab, files. Let's go ahead and upload a material cert. Okay, I think I've got a good sample out here for you. Let's go ahead and grab this one and have it all cataloged again right here. So the reason I'm bringing this up, if you find yourself where you've got a tree directory out there on your network with balloon prints, with material specs, with this, with that, copies of everything, purchase orders from your outside vendors, all of that chaos goes away, because it's all captured right here. Right here, again, one version of the truth. I really like to emphasize that. Okay, now, we're not going to go through every one of these up at the top, but I do want to bring up one that's very, very popular with our customers, and let me explain why. A lot of people approach us and they say, you know what, I've got a print that has hundreds of different dimensions that need to be measured. I think on mine here, this sample that I'm using, it's somewhere around the neighborhood of 25 or 30. And some people come to us and say, not only is it busy, with 100+ different dimensions, but it's not the best quality. Maybe it's a scan of a scan. You know the drill. Your customer sends something to you. It's got the coffee stains on it. It's got the machine oil on it, and it's just not the best quality. How do we manage that? Well, let's just do a quick little simulation here, shall we? I'm going to go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and focus on number 6 right here. And I'm just going to right click and I'm going to delete it. Let's say our OCR didn't pick it up. All right, it's not there. Well, watch this. Here's the popular feature that our customers absolutely love. Right over, let's see, right there, white out balloons. Watch this. Boom. That easy, guys. One click. It took away, if you will, or hid everything that the OCR did catch. So what stands out like a sore thumb? Everything that it didn't. There's number 6 right there. And by the way, nothing went away. It's just hidden. I could just highlight, right, just go ahead and move your mouse very easily, and there's everything else. All right. So again, we have a poor quality print. It missed something. Now what? Just simply go up there to your clipper tool and go ahead and box select it up and watch that OCR, that proprietary OCR engine go into effect. And there it is. So it captured that balloon again for me. And right there, you can see our surface profiles highlighted. And if I just carry it down, there we can see the flatness as well. We're capturing all the GD&T for you guys. All right, let's go ahead and undo that hide. And now we've got a situation here, don't we? Now, if it's an engineering change, maybe you do want to leave it as balloon number 25. For process purposes, that would be the way to go about it. But again, in our scenario, that wasn't the case. It wasn't an engineering change. It was a case of the OCR didn't capture it. So what do? No problems. Don't fret. Just come right up here and auto renumber. It's back to 6. Life's good again. That easy. That easy. All right. Now, again, something that I think would be very important, for our friends there in Canada, that is the focus of today's demonstration, is the conversion between English and metric, okay, imperial and metric, okay. Maybe you get the print in imperial and it needs to be converted for your shop floor in metric, or vice versa. What do? Well, I don't know how you do it right now. Maybe you pull out a calculator and again, open up all kinds of possibilities for non-intentional errors, but errors nonetheless. That goes away with high QA. Again, right here, one click, right on your toolbox. Alternate units, boom, there it is. There we are in metric, okay? There we are in imperial. And when you first do the OCR scan, you can decide what do you want your default to be. Perhaps for your shop, it's metric. Somebody else's perhaps imperial. It's your choice. Have it your way. Okay. Now let's do this too. Again, just want to show you some of these tools. We got a lot to cover for you guys in a short period of time, and probably a good time to mention that. Again, if we don't cover something for you today, there's a very high ceiling to our software. So I'd encourage you to reach out to us and let us know that you would like to do a personalized demonstration. We're more than happy to do that. And maybe you would like us to fill out an NDA and use one of your prints as a sample. Not a problem. We do it quite commonly. All right. Well, let's do this here for you guys. Let's talk about tolerances. And I'm going to go ahead and focus on number 23 right here. So you'll notice that my nominals and my range is filled out automatically. Well, where did that come from? It came up from the defaults that we can see right here. But how smart is our OCR? Okay, well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and take a look at number 16 right here that has a plus plus. Okay, what about that? Well, right here, again, you'll notice that the plus plus overrid the default for all the other dimensions, all the other tolerances that are captured. But right here, that plus plus, we've got it captured right there. Which, by the way, when you have a balloon highlighted right here, we'll highlight the row down in the bill of characteristics, and we provide you the dimension editor over on this side of the screen to be able to make any corrections, additions, anything that you would want. Okay. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go back to 23 here for you. And let's talk about gauge categories, and let's talk about designators. All right. So let's do this. And keep in mind, we're in the planning stage here still. We're just doing the downstream preparation to be able to minimize possible confusion or possible misinterpretation out on the floor, breaking the bottleneck. That's the theme here today, right? So let's do some of that prep work here at the very beginning. Let's go ahead and be very specific. Again, for dimension number 23, you can see it right there. We want to be very specific and kind of tee it up for our guys on the floor to make sure you use this blade micrometer. That'll be a drop-down list of all of your gauge equipment, okay? And again, very easy to use. I'm going to use blade micrometer, and even more so, I'm going to go ahead and maybe flag this dimension with a key characteristic designator, okay? Flight safety, critical safety, again, that list customized for your shop, whatever line of work, whatever your terminology happens to be, it'll be specific to you, okay? I'm just going to choose key here, and we'll go ahead and save it up. We'll save it up right there. And having done that, okay, let's go ahead and point out in the bill of characteristics, well, what happened here? Well, if I scroll on over, a couple of things happen. First off, I can see right there my designator, and based off of that designator, my sampling rules could have changed, okay? You'll have default sampling rules, but if you would like, you could set up quote unquote rules in place, such as if this key, you're using this designator is critical safety or key in my example, I want to switch the sampling rules accordingly to this, okay? Very nice to know. Other rule examples, if I come up here, you'll see this this balloon 19 right here happens to be a perpendicularity. Well, hey, if that's the case, you could go ahead and say every time we have a perpendicularity, we want to go ahead and automatically have the system set up to where it's going to fill in automatically a gauge category of coordinate measuring machine, okay, CMM. Go right ahead. Again, we're trying to help you speed up your ballooning process and your downstream preparation process, and you can set up these little custom rules in place to help your engineers do that, okay? Now, speaking of gauges, and by the way, you can see right there that our blade micrometer, that's been filled out as well. And I had to scroll over to get that. Maybe you don't want to scroll over. Go ahead and move these around however you like. Just like Excel. Again, it's not Excel, but the point is you have that same functionality to be able to move columns, hide columns, shake this down however it's most pleasing to your eye. Have at it. And that's part of what our implementation team is going to teach you all on as well. But again, speaking of gauge management, boy, I want to make sure we go over this here for you guys. This is key. Right up here, we can manage your gauges for you right in our core system. By the way, this isn't what I'm showing you right here is not an add-on. This is right in our core functionality. So I'll tell you, there's a lot of great gauge management software out there, and I'm not here to downplay any of those. They all have their place in the world. But I would also share with you that it is very common for our customers to say, you know what, we move forward with high QA, and not only we did pick up the ballooning and other tool sets, but we were able to eliminate 2 or 3 other software systems that we're currently using that just aren't talking to each other. Well, now, again, you're in one system, one database, everything coming together. So right here, you can see all your basic information for any of these particular tools. I'm going to go ahead and scroll on down here to one that I've got some pretty good data on right here. But a couple of things to note. You can see the basic information, where the location happens to be, your calibration vendor, when it's last been calibrated. And by the way, you can set up notifications when it's time to calibrate. And, you know, even better, you can get out in front of that a little bit. You could go ahead and say, you know what, 45 days in advance of the expiration, okay, for calibration, let's go ahead and have an alert sent off. And that alert could be internal to you, could be out to your calibration vendor, could be both. Again, your call, all part of what we'll train you on. All right. Now, how do you build this list? Well, if you already have that in a CSV file or in a system already, let's go ahead and import that in. Let's save you some time and effort to be able to load it in automatically for you, very easily mapped in from an Excel file. All right. Now, as I mentioned, a lot of great gauge software systems out there. Here's really where the secret sauce is. Here's where you would want to consider tracking your gauges in our system. Right here, usage history. I'm going to get into data collection here, our shop floor interface in just a few more minutes. But just know this, that when employees are using gauges on the floor to doing their measurements, you have this. You have a full audit trail of usage history. So if your auditor says, all right, that thread plug gauge, that Cato, show me every job every part, every lot, down to the serial number. Everything that gauge has ever touched is right here. We'll show you the nominal. We'll show you the actual value that has been entered. And even more so, we're going to show you the name of the operator, date and time that put in that entry. Again, scroll on over to get to that. Move the columns over if you prefer. Your call. All of that comes along for the ride. All right. So everything we've done, that I've done here for you so far has really been from a quality perspective, right? Well, let's get into manufacturing. All right, let's show you what we have for the manufacturing. Let's get them involved. Let's break that bottleneck. All right, so let's come back up here to parts and reports and get back into our drawing file. And we'll go ahead and center like so. And think of this again as kind of the master part for everything about it, the jobs, the samples, and what I'm going to show you right here, manufacturing operations. But as you can see, there's even much more. And we're going to get into some of that as well. But again, we want to get manufacturing operations involved. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's go ahead and start selecting some of these dimensions. Okay, I'll go ahead and select this one. We'll go ahead and select that one. I'm just holding the control button down and doing some manual selections right here. We're going to go ahead and capture that and this right here and so forth. Whatever you want. We're going to go ahead and capture all of those, and then right here, just hit add operations, and boom, those are all part of Op10 now. Okay, and you can see it's color coded. Now I did that by again holding the control button down. I guess I'm busted with touching the keyboard technically, but let's do this. Let's maybe box select these and not touch the keyboard and go ahead and add an operation right there for Op20. Fair enough. So you could do it either way. You could do it either way. But let's go into Op10 here for you guys. Go back to that pencil. Whenever you see the pencil, there's some extra meat that you can put on the bone right behind the scenes. So let's indeed do that. And again, I do need to touch the keyboard here because I want to go ahead and call this a roughing operation at Op10. And if I care to, I could be specific as to the work cell, the machine. I don't have to. You'll see some fields that are in black. That means they're optional fields. Put them in there if you want. Anything with that little red line, those are required fields. Can't get out of the window until you fill those in. All right, no big deal. Choose your color. Make it very personalized, however you want. But there we go. So let's go ahead now that we've done that, and let's get down here into our bill of characteristics, and you'll see right there manufacturing operations. Let's get out a finished part, and let's have this filtered out just for those roughing operations. And look what you have here. Look what you have there. You have a print specific for Op10. Okay, and the beauty of this is we didn't renumber the balloon numbers, the dimension numbers. They are still what they should be. So there's nice consistency between these balloons and again for the finished part. All right, now let's do this here for you. Let's go ahead and just select all, okay, just for these the operations of roughing. And I'm going to do something here for you. We're going to do what we call a bulk update. It's a roughing step right here, right? That we're doing. So we're not going to machine to the finished dimension, of course. We need to leave some stock on there for finishing. So why don't we go ahead and update the nominal value? All right, let's go ahead and do that. And again, this is just for this roughing op. It's not for the whole thing. It's just for the roughing op. So I'm going to say nominal value, and let's go ahead and add 20 thou on there. What do you say? And I'm going to say add value, but you'll notice some choices there. Maybe you want to do it by a percentage, up or down. Your choice. But again, we're roughing, so we're going to go ahead and add a little extra meat right there. If I would want, again, gauge category, maybe we want to go ahead and be specific and say, all right, use a blade micrometer. When you are doing all of these measurements for roughing, let's go ahead and do that. And if you would want, you could get cute with it as well and change balloon arrow or balloon form, change it to triangle, hexagon, whatever it is that you want. But the real thing that I wanted to share with you here, guys, is if I go ahead and apply and close, you'll notice right there that we've got that 20 thou that's been tacked on to our nominal just for those roughing operation steps. All right, so now that we've done this, let's go ahead and right up here to our reports, let's print out an inspection plan. And you can also print out the PDF right here of the current page just for the roughing operations. But let's go ahead and print out the inspection plan here for you guys. And the system, High QA, we provide you with the report writer. You do not need us. We'll be happy to help you with it, but we provide you the tools to customize and change any of the documents, any of the forms that come out of the system. All right. So we're going to go ahead and print out this inspection plan just for our roughing op. And I think you're going to like what you see here. All righty. So here we go. So just those steps. Again, you can see the 20 thou that's been tagged on to all of those. You can see that key characteristic designator that I tacked onto number 23, and the fact that we're using the blade micrometer across the board, with all of those. Okay, with all of those. We looking good? I'm hoping you guys are liking what you're seeing. This is, I wish we were in person, because this is typically the time where we really get a lot of nodding heads. Okay, so let's do this. Let's talk about data collection. All right, so you can crawl, walk, run with this, however it makes sense for you guys. You can really phase this in. So let's talk about crawling. If you would want, you could provide this Excel sheet to the floor, or after the fact, and values can be entered right here. Those in turn can be added in, can be imported into the system very, very easily. Now, that's a good way to phase into this, but I'll tell you what, we can make your life a lot easier than having to do it that way. Some people start off that way. Some people go right to what I'm going to show you in just a moment here. All right. So let's go ahead and close out of that. And by the way, you'll see right here, it's saying save, don't save, cancel. You can ignore that altogether. Okay. Let's go ahead and say, don't save. Well, why would you do that? Well, it's a database, right? Notice right here, the reports, it's still in there. It's still in there. It didn't go anywhere. Right there's our inspection plan. If I want to take a look at it at any time, a month from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, again, auditor, somebody, customer wants to find it, wants you to provide it, there it is. Very easy. So again, no accidentally, oh my gosh, I didn't save it. Where is it? It's all right there, as well as the files. Okay. Again, reports, files. So you have your source drawing. You've got that material cert that I attached as well. It's all right here. All right here. Okay. Now let's do this. Let's show you some data collection that's a lot easier to use. A lot easier to use than what I just showed you there with the Excel. All right, let's get right here. So this interface, and I'm going to go ahead and log in. So everybody on the floor can have their username and password that you provide them with, and they can log in that way. You'll notice right there, scan badges. If you have employee badges, they can also log in via that. All right, well, let's go ahead and hit log in. And I'm getting into what we call IM Explorer. You can see right there. We also have IM Express. Well, what's the difference? IM Explorer, I'm able to see all jobs. I'm able to see everything across the board. Whereas IM Express, just show me the jobs, will just show me the jobs that are assigned to me specifically. An easier interface, easier screen. So just imagine the IM Explorer right here, a little bit more streamlined, a little more watered down, if you will. But let's do this. Again, this is very easy to use, and it's a lightweight application running on Google Chrome, guys. As you can see, it's browser-based. You're going to have an IP address within your secured intranet, okay? Can't express that enough. Nothing external, nothing's hitting the web. This is secure on your local server. And you can use tablets, you can use workstations, it's your call. Any device that can run Chrome. All right, so let's get into this. Let's go to gauges first, shall we? Just real quick little rabbit trail right here. Now right here, you can see that, the master list of all your gauges right here. All right, but let's do something else. Let's come on in here and choose the category of blade micrometer. So right here, it's now showing me not just, every blade micrometer that's within that category. So I can see the specific gauge ID right there. And it's allowing me, it's showing me the current location, which is just the manufacturing facility. And right there, I can see an actual location code as well. And right here, it's giving me an opportunity to go ahead and check it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and check that sucker out. And I can go ahead and say where I'm going to go ahead and move it to. Let's go ahead and say main plant. Here it is. I'm logged in as Joe Inspector right there, and we're good to go. So go ahead and check it out. All right. So right there, it's seeing current user is Joe Inspector. And when I'm done, I can go ahead and just simply go in there, hit check in. And let's go ahead and move that right back to its standard storage location code, just like that. Okay. All righty. So a little bit about checking in, checking out gauges there for you guys. Again, just wanted to show you that briefly. You'll notice right here, scan barcodes. I imagine many of you are using ERP systems right there right now, perhaps with barcoded job travelers that represent the job and the part number. We're giving you an opportunity to go ahead and continue to use that form to be able to scan in on that, to be able to get to the screen that I'm going to show you in just a moment. I kind of like the gallery search. I mean, yes, that's quick. No worries. You absolutely use that. But let's show you something pretty slick here. Let's go to the gallery view. Got to imagine everybody has some sort of, in today's day and age, some sort of iPhone or Samsung or whatever, where you have picture files and so forth. We try to mimic that, you know, with our gallery view, where you can very easily go ahead and scroll right on through, find the print and job that you want to work on. But right up there at the top, you also have search capability as well. So why, you know, let's make our lives easy. Let's go ahead and use the job number that we put on for the project that we've been working on here in this session together. So right there, I can see the print. Let's go ahead and select her up. And right there, you've got, you know, good key, some KPIs, some key performance indicators on inspection completed percentage so far. Anything that's been failed so far, looks like we're doing, you know, we're doing pretty good. We're batting 1,000 here so far. But let's go ahead and get into it. I can get down into the specific lot number and right down into a sample as well. And we provide you those KPIs right along the way. But let's get down into where we're actually going to do some measured results. Okay, so let's get you familiar with just a little navigation here real quick. First off, you know, you can go ahead and move this around, move your print in any way you like, zoom in, zoom out. I really like this. Again, if your eyes are anything like mine, you can go full screen like so. Very easy to do. And let's go on back like so. And let's do something here. Remember that roughing operation? Well, let's say that's what I'm doing out on the floor on our job here today. So I'll go ahead and choose roughing, and it's going to tee it up for me in a lot of ways. Okay, it's going to take me right there to that first dimension that I flagged under our roughing step. And let's first go in here and select our gauge. Well, right there, it's taking me right to blade micrometer because that's what I put in the inspection plan. You know, no errors on the floor. That's what we're striving for. So I very easily go ahead and select this. It fills it in, and you might notice right there, this measured results field, it's blinking. Okay, there's a little, you know, it's flashing at me. Well, what's that all about? Well, if that happens to be a Bluetooth enabled micrometer, as soon as I do the measurement, that'll fill in automatically for me. How slick is that? Again, less errors. At the same time, you'll notice that the keypad, I mean, it's designed for touchscreen. Okay, again, you can use this on a tablet or whatever that you like. They can run Google Chrome, but let's go ahead and put in a value. And by the way, you'll see this little color bar at the bottom. Well, there's our nominal dead center, right? And here's where we're falling in or out of tolerance on the plus or the negative side of that. So let's go ahead and put in something that's dead center. Okay, let's put in a good value. We'll go ahead and hit accept. All right, it accepts it and goes and takes me right to the next one to be measured. Okay, now let's do something else here. Let's do this. Let's say you have a go no go gauge for this dimension, right? It's an attribute data. All right. Well, look at this right down here at the bottom. I can go ahead and toggle right there to where I can just go ahead and put in a pass fail. Okay. Let's say it passed. Let's be positive here. Let's go ahead and say it passed. No sweat. We'll go ahead and hit accept, and that's all I have to do. Takes me to the next one, and we're ready to go. Now let's say we didn't do so hot. Okay, there's the nominal there, 4.02. Let's go ahead and put in something out of tolerance. Well, what's going to happen then? Well, it's going to bark at me right there. It's going to go, whoa, okay. You're putting in something, a measurement that's out of tolerance. Do you want to measure again? Do you want to adjust the value? Do you want to keep it failed? Well, this is really nice, guys, especially if those of you that are using ERP systems, and I'm going to show you why. Right here, you can go ahead and keep that failed, and watch this. It'll go ahead and create a non-conformance right here at the time of the failure, right? So we can go ahead and say, this is the machine that I was on. Okay, I was in the milling group, inspection center of such and such, whatever that happens to be. Let's say I was out here, turning. I can put in my comments, bad part, whatever, out of, on square cut, whatever the case may be. That'll go ahead and create a non-conformance for you. And as you can see, I can also put in a defect type as well. Okay, let's say it was with the machining. We'll go ahead and hit OK, and away we go. Okay, away we go. Oh, let's go ahead and choose that one right there. There we go. All right, so everything is properly filled out. Now that we've got this non-conformance created right here in high QA, if you would want, we have an open API. Okay, that is something that has been very popular across software. I'm sure you're familiar with over the last several years. People want softwares talking to each other and not be quite so closed loop. The point of this is, having created this non-conformance here in high QA, if you would like, we can send that out into your ERP system where they can go ahead and close that loop as far as the documentation is concerned in the regards of corrective actions. All right. Now let's do something else here. Let's go back up and let's go back to our finished part. And let's look at this one right here. Let's look at this one right here. And the reason we're going to look at number 2 right here is because there's a thread. Okay. Well, I'm going to show you in a little while how we can pull in data from, I'm going to simulate pulling in data from your CMMs. CMMs can't measure the threading, right? Okay. We need a gauge to be able to do that. So right here, I can see all of our different attributes. And if I go to 2.2, well, that's going to be for the threading. So right there, it teed it up for me based on the inspection plan that the folks in the front of the house have put together for me on the floor. So right here, I can go ahead and put in a pass or fail or accepted, whatever, for this threading. I'll go ahead and say accept, and look what we've got right here. Okay, filled in green right there. Well, what in right dead in the center? What's that all about? Well, there's 3 call outs to this dimension. There's a diameter, okay, in the front, there's the thread, and then there's the true position. So we just did our manual entry right there, so to speak, for our threading. All right, now let's go back into the main system here. Let's go back into the main system and show you what we have. So I'm going to go up here, hit open, and we're going to go ahead and grab our job and watch what we're going to do here for you guys. Let's go right back to where we started. All righty, so we're going to go right here to samples. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and choose that sample that we were working on out there on the shop floor. But look at that. There's that same information that I showed you with the data collection screen. And I had some of these already pre-populated just for the sake of time here today. And by the way, we're we're just about to the top of the hour. So we're going to get into some Q&A here just in a moment for you guys. Really appreciate your interest and patience today. Hope you're finding this valuable. So right here, we can see our manual checks. So let's now, I mentioned crawl, walk, run. Okay. Well, the walking was that data collection that we showed you. Now we're going to go ahead and run, and we're going to run in a sprint. You're going to love this. We're going to go ahead and import in inspected results. Okay. You're going to pull them in from your machine data. Okay. From your CMM equipment. And by the way, we have presets. We can interface with any piece of equipment out there on the floor. You name it. Those systems can kick out a CSV file where we have hundreds of presets. Presets meaning the proper mapping of the data out of that equipment into high QA. We're going to be able to provide you that. Now, I'm going to do a simulation. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in from a file, right? And right there, you can see sample results from file 7089-01. That's the job we've been working on here today. So there's kind of the raw data coming out of that CMM equipment. I'm doing a simulation. You wouldn't have to do this. It's going to come in automatically for you. And I'm going to go ahead and associate this with our sample here that we've been working on today. Hit the import button. And there we go. There we go. So now we can see very clearly color coded everything that has passed in green, obviously, and where we may have had some issues and some failures on some of these attributes. All right. Good stuff. I may ask you, how long does it take you to do that right now? Not just the ballooning, not just creating the inspection plans, but getting to an FAI or FAIR, whatever your terminology happens to be, or whatever your customer's terminology happens to be. How long does that take you right now to do? Now, we did this in less than an hour, and that's because I was doing a lot of extra explaining. You're going to be able to move along quick. So let's go ahead and here print out a single piece report. And this can be laid out in whatever report template you want. I happen to have AS9100 right there, but add as many templates as you would like. Add as many as you like, but I think you're going to like what I have right out of the box for you. Many of you will be familiar with this. All right, so here we go. We have our Form 1 with all of our standard, everything that was basically in the title block, if you will, on the original print. And then we go into Form 2, which of course is going to be our materials. And now we get over to Form 3 with our measured results against the tolerances that we had in place, the nominals. There we go. That easy. If we go to attachments, we'll have our attachments in here as well. You may recall that material cert that I attached early on, that'll come along for the ride too. All right, so there you have it. That would be what we would consider kind of the first loop, the first circle of, if you will, of our software of HiQA60 to be able to take a balloon print, take a print, balloon it automatically with our proprietary OCR scanner, get inspection plans on the floor, collect data, blend that data between CMM integration as well as you've seen some manual entries as well with gauge equipment for threading, and be able to get to a final FAI form for your customer for that submission package. How nice is that? Okay, so with that, that's the bulk of what we wanted to go over as far as the product demonstration today. So now's the time to go ahead and let's get into some Q&A here. I'll pass it over to our host.
Hi, thank you for that, Jared. That was a very interesting and exciting presentation. I'm sure our audience has a number of questions, and I'm excited to get to a couple of them here. I know you mentioned SPC briefly. I'm wondering if you could expand on that a little.
Oh, be more than happy to. I think somebody must have seen that on the screen. So let's go ahead and should I go ahead and hit start my video here?
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. You can see my screen okay, correct? All righty, good deal. Let's do this. Let's do this. Yes, we have SPC, and just to give you a little taster of what that's all about here, guys, let's go ahead and do this for you. Let me go ahead and let me pull up one that I've got some good data on. Let's see. We'll go ahead and select part. It's very, very easy to do. Very, very easy to do. Your effort in order to get SPC is virtually nil. Okay. So let's see here. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and pick this one right here just for grins. So if I wanted to capture SPC on any of these dimensions, you just go ahead and you highlight it, come right down here to where it says AQL and SPC. And from there, all we have to do is give that a check and then go ahead and put in your CPK and PPK, save it up, and you're ready to go. let's go ahead and also maybe grab this one as well. Monitor SPC, save it up. This one as well, monitor SPC. And by the way, that'll all be captured down here, down below, to where we have a column for right there, monitor SPC. I can filter that out or get to it very quickly. But as well, if I go up here to our SPC tab, you'll see right there those three dimensions that we want to capture the SPC on. So when we get the data coming in from the CMMs, this is going to fill in automatically for you. And by the way, if you would want, going back to our data collection screen, we also have the ability to capture the SPC measurements as well, right from the floor. Just real quick. I like showing this sort of stuff in these Q&A sessions. This is like the additional scenes, the director's cut. It's kind of a thank you for hanging on and letting us show you our software today. Here, you get some extra goodies, some extra Easter eggs. So I'll come in right here, and let's go ahead and maybe choose something else that might have a little more data on it. Let's see. Oh, I like that one. I like that one a lot. Let's go ahead and hit select. So right here, I can see SPC yes. That means all of these dimensions. We want to go ahead and capture some data. I'm going to go ahead and select. And look what we have here. All on one screen, all of those dimensions. And if I come into one of those, right there, you can see, whether it's control limits, whether it's spec limits, either way. But you can see right there your target CPK and target PPK as well. Right there, we can get into measure. And from there, get to our keypad where we can go ahead and put in our values. Boom, there we go. SPC, we can get into that much deeper in a personalized demo.
Perfect. Thank you, Jared. That's definitely impressive. Thank you for clearing that up. I think we did have time for one more question I'm hoping to get to here. I'm sure much of our audience is wondering, the software certainly looks impressive. I'm wondering what the system costs and what you can share with regards to details on that.
Sure, happy to. So, all depends on, a couple of variables, of course. One of those being the user count, right? And let's kind of define that a bit. We need to put some thought into how many people need to be in what I would call the main system, in the main high QA package right here. Doing that downstream preparation, the ballooning of the prints, setting up manufacturing operations, so on and so forth. How many people need to be in here simultaneously? It's concurrent floating licensing here. So maybe you have 20 people that would need to be in here. Doesn't, but not all 20 all at the same time. That's really what we're looking for. Maybe it's more like 7, maybe it's 3, whatever that number should be. You just need to put some thought into how many users need to be in the system right there. That's primarily what's going to be driving our pricing. And then also for the data collection out on the shop floor, that is a much more inexpensive, if you will, price for the data collection shop floor users. You also need to think about how many people are going to be capturing actual data from the floor. So we have pricing for both of those user sets. And speaking of users, you will also be able to set permissions and lock out people of certain areas and all of that as well. But on top of the user counts, we also, how far do you care to take the system? I mentioned SPC. Rob had mentioned earlier our APQP capability, what we call PQP, okay? Production quality planning. Those are different layers of our software. If you want to go phase 2, phase 3, whether it's here initially or whether it's a year from now or later, you have a very high ceiling of this with this product. And we can certainly meet a price point that's within your budget now. And we have everyone from production machine shops using the package all the way up to OEMs and everywhere in between that supply chain. Yep. So it depends on those variables, and we'll be more than happy to go into that specifically on an individual basis.
Perfect. Thank you for Jared for clearing that up. I'm sure our audience is interested to hear more. And I think with that, we've reached the end of our session today. Definitely want to extend a huge thank you to all of those who took time out of their busy schedules to join us for the webinar. huge thank you to Rob Edmonds and Jared Phillips for the excellent and informative discussion and presentation. And of course, a giant thank you to High QA, without whom today's webinar would not have been possible. And if you, just a heads up, if you tuned in late to today's session, don't worry at all. Of course, it has been recorded, and a link of the recording will be sent to you within 24 hours. And so with that information, thank you everyone for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of the afternoon.
Hope to hear from you soon, folks. Or
everybody.
hope to see it at IMTS if you happen to be in Chicago next month. Booth 135348. We're in the East Building. I don't expect you to remember that booth number. Just look for the Quality Assurance Pavilion and look for those lime green shirts. We stand out by design. Hope to meet you in person.
I'll be sure to come and say hi.
Please do.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.